The Athletics NFL insider Zach Rosenblatt has revealed a potential Garrett Wilson trade that could be coming in the offseason, as multiple reports reveal that the New York Jets superstar receiver is going to be unhappy if he stays in a losing environment, and has made it very clear that he does not plan to stick around if the Jets don't get things under control. And knowing the Jets, that's going to be pretty tough to do. So we're going to break this down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here. And we're going to jump right into the video as we always do. No subgraph, but just subscribe anyway. I mean, just do it. But look, here's the deal. Obviously, when the Jets had that phenomenal draft in 2021, it felt like there was a turning of the tides. Like, they had great players who they could build around and who the future would be bright with having them on the team. However, the Jets have not had very much improvement at all. Even though that first year they did go 7-10 and really showed that there was a future for this team, things did not get better. I mean, acquiring Aaron Rodgers felt like a step in the right direction. Between the ruptured Achilles and then the overall failure that was this year, the Jets have, if anything, gotten worse and more disappointing. And it's going to get to the point where now these guys drafted in 2021 are going to be due for contract extensions. And once contract extensions come around, trade requests can come around also, and that apparently is what we're seeing with Garrett Wilson. As Zach Rosenblatt revealed right here, that internally and externally, many NFL insiders have wondered when, not if, Garrett Wilson will request a trade. It was expressed privately that if things didn't get better, he wouldn't stick around long term. Now, this happened in 2023, he said this. Obviously, just a few years later, Garrett Wilson has not seen things get better for the New York Jets. Now, on top of this, we'll make the screen a little bit bigger. On top of this, we're looking at a guy who this season has had a good year. 81 receptions for 877 receiving yards, getting around 11 yards per reception, and has 5 touchdowns on the year. It's not necessarily a bad season. It's actually quite the good season. It's just the fact that there were so many expectations for the Jets entirely this year, and with so much uncertainty, Garrett Wilson was unable to perform at the level that we know Garrett Wilson can perform at. Though still, he's 8th in receiving yards because he is a phenomenal talent who, if he goes to the right situation, he would instantly become top 5 in receiving yards because he's one of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL. Matt, losing Garrett Wilson, I want to call it a punch in the face because that's what it would feel like. Not by Garrett. I have absolutely no animosity towards Garrett Wilson about this. He'd be right to do so. I'm just going to call it what it is, Matt. Losing Garrett Wilson would just feel like the biggest kick in the balls.
Okay, Garrett Wilson, drafted 2022 with the Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall. Both those, the first-round picks, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, are on 4-year contracts with a team option. The Jets would be able to extend them for 1 year on a team-friendly deal should they decide to. Garrett Wilson is on this 2024 is the 3rd year of this deal. He knows that in his 4th year, he needs to go crazy if he's going to get a super big payday like a Justin Jefferson, like an Amon-Ra St. Brown, like what Jamar Chase is about to get. If he doesn't, he's going to get the lower tier of money, which is like what Jalen Waddle got. If we see what Garrett Wilson was coming out of Ohio State, what he's been in the NFL, we know that he is an elite talent. And if he had the right quarterback, he could get paid by a team. He could get paid like a top wide receiver, and he feels like he deserves to get paid like a top wide receiver. And he thinks that the team is holding him back, and he's absolutely right. That line that he said where he doesn't feel like he wants to stick around if the situation doesn't improve, he is 110% right to say something like that because he deserves a better situation. He does his part every single week, minus that Steelers game. He has been one of the lone bright spots on the Jets, and he deserves a better situation. When he is going to I'm going to say Captain Obvious, the situation did not get better this year. The situation is not going to get better next year. We're not going to find someone better than what we thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be this year. One of the better options for next year is Aaron Rodgers again. So Garrett Wilson, he's going to be in trouble next year too. So do not be surprised when he demands a trade this offseason. It's going to happen. What is going to happen is the Jets are going to get a first-round pick back for him and potentially maybe like a deep day 3 pick, like a 6th-round pick as well. Hopefully, it's a 2026 first-round pick where the New York Jets can use that draft pick to trade back up into the 2026 NFL draft to pick up a first-round quarterback. So Garrett Wilson, he is not going to be a Jet come next year. Chris, pull those stats back up. The
Got
receiving
you, sir.
leaders on the year. Thank you.
Receiving leaders, yes, sir.
Yeah, the one you just had. So you're telling me Jerry Jeudy is better than Garrett Wilson? No way. Brock Bowers, a rookie tight end, is going to outscore an elite wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. Jackson Smith and Jigba? No way. Jackson Smith and Jigba had more receiving yards than Garrett Wilson did at Ohio State. I understand that. But Jackson Smith and Jigba is not a better talent than Garrett Wilson. Jackson Smith and Jigba is also the second wide receiver in his own offense. Terry McLaurin, no way Terry McLaurin, another Ohio State wide receiver. No way we're saying Terry McLaurin he should never have more receiving yards than Garrett Wilson. You realize his quarterback is a rookie, right? CeeDee Lamb's a great player. He could be fine. Garrett Wilson is he's right on par with Darnell Mooney. Like, are we kidding me?
And
You can
Drake
bring us
London.
back up now. You can bring us back
on
up.
The same team.
No, Drake London is elite. Drake London is just as good as Garrett Wilson. So Drake London can have those stats. Drake London should also have more, but who knows what's going on with Kirk Cousins right now. They're talking about benching him for Michael Penix Jr. Garrett Wilson is going to demand a trade. He deserves a trade. The question is, what team does he go to, and what do the Jets get in return for Garrett Wilson? He's an elite player. We, of course, don't want to trade that away, but unfortunately, it's something that's going to happen because we know he's a fiery competitor. We just talked about Drake London, and the problem that you might come into might have with a Drake London or a Marvin Harrison Jr. is they're quiet guys. When they don't get the ball a lot, they don't say anything. They're going to sit down on the sidelines, and if they're winning, they're still smiling. Then you got the dogs. You got like Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson. If you're not getting the ball, even if they're winning, they're still pissed on the sidelines. That's the type of competitor that Garrett Wilson is. He brings a fire to the New York Jets that they frankly need to have, but he's not going to stand for him not getting the yards he's supposed to get and the receptions he's supposed to get when it's the team's fault. When it's his fault, he understands it, and he puts his head down and works harder. He's had some fumbling issues. He carries the ball in one hand like he's Michael Vick sometimes, and it's not a good situation, but he knows what he has to do. He does what he has to do. The Jets have failed him, and he is 110% going to be demanding a trade in this offseason.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that Garrett Wilson sticks around after all this. And look, I mean, the fact that he's not top 5 in receiving yards when there was a very high chance going into this season that he was supposed to lead the league in receiving yards has just shown, like, it's the epitome of what's happened with the Jets this year. It's really, you can't pin any of this on Garrett. Yeah, there was that drop against the Steelers. That happens. Sometimes you screw up. Even the best do. Every single team in the NFL is interested in Garrett Wilson. Everyone knows who he can be. And the entire no matter which front office it is, even the Browns, even the Panthers, the two other most dysfunctional teams in the NFL are thinking, well, yeah, of course he's not playing up to his potential. The Jets are screwing him up. That is what's happening. It's not just, oh, well, maybe things aren't going in his favor. Maybe it's him. No, everyone understands what it is. It's the Jets are screwing it up. And that hurts the Jets' trade value even more because teams are just going to be like, they're going to use the fact of, well, why isn't he better? And what are the Jets going to admit? Well, we suck. No, they're not going to do that. Getting one first-round pick for Garrett Wilson is very likely. And the problem is the man's worth more than that. But because the way the New York Jets have done things, they make it look like he's not. And everyone knows he is, but it gives all the leverage away to whatever team acquires him. Now, look, is there a world that the Jets somehow, some way can convince him for one more make or break year? Maybe, but you're asking a lot.
They would need, for that to happen, they need to improve the quarterback situation dramatically. The only way that possibly happens, maybe the Shedeur Sanders to the Cowboys, which are rumors are ridiculous. Maybe those rumors actually come true and Dak Prescott's available for trade.
Yeah.
Maybe the Falcons get sick of Kirk Cousins and they want to start Michael Penix and Cousins is available. There are no good options. Looking at the targets per game this season, CeeDee Lamb is number 1 and Garrett Wilson is number 2. And below him, there's still so many guys with more yards than him, better stats than him. It's the big-time contracts, which Garrett Wilson is no doubt thinking about constantly because it's important. We can't sit here and pretend like it is important. You could be a team player and still care about what you're going to get paid a lot. And Garrett Wilson no doubt cares about the money. The contract he's going to get is going to be based on his stats. The better his stats are, the more money he's going to get paid. Garrett Wilson knows that. He knows the Jets are hurting him. He is angry right now, and he has every single right to be angry right now because he deserves so much better than this, and it's so frustrating to see that the Jets ruin promising young players like this. You're talking about how Garrett Wilson is worth more than a first-round pick, but historically we've seen the last time a superstar wide receiver was available like this, a young budding superstar, A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles traded a first-round pick for him. That's all they got for A.J. Brown. You have to imagine that's exactly what Garrett Wilson is going to go for because, like you said, he's probably, I'm going to put up, quotations when I say this, worth more than that, but he isn't because every team in the league is, when he demands his trade, the entire league will be able to see that he is disgruntled and they are going to be just licking their chops, ready to, because they know the Jets, when you put the Jets' feet to the fire, they're going to have to accept a first-round pick. Hoping it's early. Maybe they can get, if you can trade a high pick this year and get Tedero McMillan for Garrett Wilson, I'll be all in on that. If Garrett Wilson wants to leave, I hope he stays. But if we can do that, that is one way the Jets can still come out with a win. But more knowing the Jets are probably going to mess this up too. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, Matt, I'm also a Yankee fan, so things are not great to be a sports fan right now. Thank God I have the Knicks.
To be a New York sports fan, what are you talking about? I thought baseball went pretty well yesterday.
You know what? Have a great day and go Jets. I'm ending it now.